views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back for some of you that were listening to the show. We have Dr. Friedemann Schaub joining us here today. What a very, very powerful series he has put together for everyone. It is the Empowered Self series with my co-host here, and it's part of his radio series, which is amazing. And, you know, for some of you that don't know who he is, we're going to tell you a lot about him today during the show. I want to just say hello to Mr. Benny. Hello, Mr. B.
Howdy, Pat.
Topic today's a hot one, boy.
It always is. It is. What we got? What we got?
For Part 8, Freedom Through Forgiveness.
Isn't that the truth?
Dang. Let me introduce him first.
Okay.
Because got to introduce Dr. Friedemann. You know, it is an honor and a pleasure that I get to work with Dr. Friedemann Schaub. And it really is. You know, I'm really getting very clear about my life, Benny, and about some of the things that have shown up and what I say yes to, and how I get to have conversations with people that are doing astonishing work in the world, and he is one of them. Besides being an award-winning author of The Fear and Anxiety Solution, and if you have not read that book, that'd be one you want to go, get now. But he's also the founder of Cellular Wisdom. It is a personal breakthrough and empowerment program. You know, he has helped thousands of people overcome their emotional and physical and all of the challenges that show up. But beyond all of that, he knows about challenges because he's lived through them. He's had to make some decisions in his own life about who he wanted to become, despite pressure from family, from friends, from this really is what you should be doing, Dr. Friedemann. You should not be doing that. You should be doing this other thing. And many of us face that. I face that myself. But what is it about who he is and what he has learned and now what he communicates and shares to help people transform their lives? What is it about that now that is more than just timely? For those of you out there, he has a toll-free number where you can receive a free telephone consultation. And that number is 866-903-6463. And we're going to talk a minute before we talk about forgiveness. We're going to talk a little bit about what his personal breakthrough and empowerment program combines. Because whether you've not heard of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, or energy psychology, or medical hypnotherapy, I want to take a moment, Dr. Friedemann, and just talk about you and how the evolution of you has become this incredible individual that is helping so many people. And thank you for joining me. What an honor it is to have you here.
You always make me blush, so thank you very much. You did it again for really just, doing the best intro that I wish I could do for myself. So, the question about the breakthrough and empowerment program I have developed is really, basically the question about what I, at some point, really felt was my purpose to share with the world. And I started as a physician, and that didn't feel really like my purpose. And I became a researcher. That wasn't quite it. And And then at some point I really felt I can actually combine, my more scientific mind, my medical understanding with that, what I really believe is important when it comes to healing and growth, which is finding that resource, that power within, just to really outgrow our challenges and to become what we are here to be. And this Empowered series that, we are going through is all about that. It's all about really remembering there are certain things that drain your power, and there are certain things that actually make you tap into it. And forgiveness is just one of them. And that's what I help people with in this, the sessions in the personal breakthrough program. I help people to really utilize their inner potential, their resources. We work with the conscious, subconscious, and the higher consciousness, all those aspects of the consciousness, to really dismantle the old patterns that were holding us back, patterns of anxiety, survival, shame, sadness, and then also really resolving the fragmentation which so many people are struggling with, where they just feel like pulled in all different kinds of directions. Different voices inside of them tell them to do this or not to do that, and that lack of sense of wholeness and congruency is often one of the major causes for people feeling anxious and insecure in life. And then we also work on the core identities that we often have been imprinted from our childhood, beliefs of not being safe in the world, not feeling good enough, not really belonging, all of those things that can hold us back from really living the life that we want to and that we are designed to do. The beauty about working with all your faculties is that we actually can change rather rapidly when we go about it systematically and when we go about it in a way that really we are finding ourselves. We are looking for that, what's our truth, and from that we can then grow into what we really want to become and what we want to be. And so often for people, it's just a matter of working through 6 or 8 sessions, and they really have outgrown that, what may have held them back for 20, 30 years. So it's fascinating for me every time to see what the potential inside of each and every one is, and just watching it unfold. And that's the pleasure that I also get from this work.
Mm. And, I had someone say to me, Dr. Friedemann, a number of years ago, I didn't quite understand it. It was back in, what was the year, 1996 or 97, say to me, you know what, you really can't take another person to a place you haven't gone yourself. And, and I thought about that for a lot of years, and then I think now I'm just coming to understand what that means. You had to make some breakthroughs in your own life in order for you to be here talking to me about the empowerment series, right? And to be able to write a book called Fear and Anxiety Solution.
Well, I think I was lucky and fortunate and blessed enough to not feel it necessarily as dramatically as it may sound. I mean, choosing to give up a very, prosperous and successful career in the U.S. to start all over, in Germany to start all over again in the U.S. and leaving Western medicine and leaving a university career at then in Seattle at the University of Washington and really doing something that I think many of my peers are still shaking their heads about. I mean, these were choices that may appear like, wow, but when you actually are in the midst of it and you just know you can't help it, it just feels right. I don't know, it doesn't make logical sense, but my heart tells me go, then you just do it. And that's how it felt to me. I know there were sometimes sacrifices, and there were certainly some own fears, insecurities, anxieties that I had to face, but there was always something inside of me that pulled me forward on that path that just felt right. And I believe we all have that inside of us. We have that, that yearning, that passion, that what we really are here to do. But often we are either not taking the time to look for it, or we are dismissing it and pushing it aside. And that is something that I think, we can actually change and in this way find more fulfillment in life.
Oh, my gosh. That is what today's show is about. it is about looking at this phenomenal series that Dr. Friedemann Schaub has put together. And by the way, we're going to tackle this. And I think for me, that's my language. Tackle it. Why? Because I've had to. How do we look at the Empowered Self series? And, this part 8, is freedom through forgiveness. And for so many years of my life, Dr. Schaub, I just could not wrap my mind around it. That's why today you're going to bring us through the misconceptions that you've discovered about forgiveness. What is it? What isn't it? And why is it does carve out that pathway to freedom? Why is it that it literally will lay down that yellow brick road for us? Dr. Friedemann Schaub joining me here today. And as I said before, go to thefearandanxietysolution.com, or you can go to cellularwisdom.com. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what those misconceptions of forgiveness are, how they show up in our day-to-day life, and what we absolutely need to know, want to know about the power of forgiveness. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back.
I'm never gonna look back. Whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. No, please don't wake me now. This is gonna be the best day of my life.
Listen to the Yo Andrew News Talk Show every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. More info where to listen, www.yoandrewnts.com/listen. Don't get your message lost in the mail. Email us with this address, yoandrew@yoandrewnts.com. How about tweet Yo Andrew at AndrewTweetGeo? Taking a picture is easy. Instagram us today at YoAndrewNTS.
Transformation Talk Radio's amazing hosts span from the Pacific to the Atlantic coast. With a world full of loyal fans, what's stopping you from joining our clan? Bring your powerful message to listening ears. We've been helping people do this for many years. Want to make a difference? We can help you out. Just give us at Transformation Talk Radio a shout. It's easy to get started with an email so small to host@transformationtalkradio.com, and then we'll give you a call.
Always inspiring and uplifting, Brenda Thine spreads love and light wherever she goes. Enlightening, empowering, and encouraging readings, Brenda connects with your guides, angels, fairies, and loved ones who have crossed over to provide you with the highest guidance possible to enable you to live your highest truth and maximize your potential. Always light-filled, a session with Brenda will have you feeling wonderful, centered, and ready to take on anything. Schedule your session now at BrendaThine.com. That's BrendaThyne.com.
Tune in to Heart Center Talk Radio with David Christopher Lewis, a gifted clairaudient, Aquarian spiritual author, and talented musical composer on TransformationTalkRadio.com every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with delivering more than 4,000 messages from angels, masters, and divine beings. David will share the Ascended Masters' teachings, insights, and surprising revelations to light bearers. Meet transformative guests who embody change and inspire hope and get a refreshing and deeply meaningful perspective on life. Wondering how to play the game of life and actually win? Stop wondering and start winning the game of life with the unique, incomparable Lynn Brown. Lynn takes everyday aspects of life and infuses them with the magic of soul and passion to help others. She wants to help you next. Lynn offers a myriad of spiritual healing, from chakra clearing, aura healing, to even corporate and business readings. Bring your game face and visit letter R, letter U, intuit.com or call 844-letter-B-INTUIT.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthисfunny.com.
I'm never gonna look back. Whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. No, please don't wake me now. This is gonna be the best day of my life.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Friedemann Schaub is in the house. I just want to say to those of you out there, if you have any questions at all, if you want to get some insight about forgiveness, if you want to get some insight about something you're stuck with, you got a resentment that you're hanging on to, Don't know what to do about it? How about the people that treated us poorly? What about those folks? You know, many of them, they have moved on, but we have not. One of the interesting things I have just found out, the divorce rate is through the ceiling. What about that pain and suffering that comes from relationships? That's why Dr. Friedemann Schaub is here. I want to invite any or all of you. If you have questions, give us a shout. If you don't want to come on air, give Benny the question, 1-800-930-2819. If you want to get to us by our website, go to the drpatshow.com. Scroll all the way down on the bottom, and on the right-hand side, there's a box there for you to ask your question. If you're listening on Transformation Talk Radio, same thing. Type it in. We're going to get it on air. We're going to see if we can get you some help. Dr. Friedemann, this is a big one. This is a biggie.
Well, I think forgiveness is something that probably most of us felt at some point, well, I wish I could. And I think most of us have maybe at some point been able to forgive, but it's not necessarily something that comes natural to us, that we really feel like, yeah, that's easy, I can just let it go. And that's not really what forgiveness is about, just letting it go. But one thing that a little disclaimer I would like to make at the beginning when we talk about forgiveness, there is also a time of forgiveness. When we are, for example, freshly hurt, when there's really pain inside of us because somebody just betrayed us or somebody did something really horrible to someone we care about, there are the stages of the grief and the healing that we have to go through. And forgiveness may not be the first stage. If we are so easily saying, wow, this person did me wrong, I let go, I forgive, that may be actually then really, be a shortcut to that does prevent us from really honoring what we feel and honoring our wounds and honoring the pain that we have inside. So I would like to, really point out that forgiveness is not something we have to put pressure on ourselves. Well, you haven't forgiven yet, what's wrong with you? They just talk about forgiveness is possible, so why you're waiting for? Allow yourself to really bring forgiveness to the forefront of your mind when you feel that you're actually more suffering from not forgiving, from not letting go, that the anger and this constantly thinking of the past is really holding you back from moving forward. When you realize, I'm stuck, I'm trapped in this, the wounds are somehow always reopened by myself because all I'm thinking about is why or how could they, and I'm just not able to move beyond that. If you feel that, if you feel like it's time for me actually to be free again, free from the past, then it's time for you to also think about forgiveness.
What happens, Dr. Friedemann? I know you work with many people. What happens, what happens to our body? What happens to our minds when we don't forgive? And I'm talking about sort of like, that ever-lingering resentment, the anger. Somebody could live clear across the world, and we are just completely still obsessed every time we hear their name, right? Tell me what the consequences are of carrying that around.
Well, there are all different kinds of layers. One layer, when you feel resentment in general, we know that we are ultimately poisoning ourselves, and that this is certainly something that never really brings justice or really affects the person we are angry, at. It's just really creating a disharmony within. But then beyond that, anger and resentment also often are a cover-up for the pain and the wounds inside of us. But as we are angry at someone else and saying, well, you did this to me and it's their fault, we are actually not attending to that, what hurts inside of us, because we are still focusing on those outside of us. And those wounds and those, this pain is still lingering within us. We are literally giving our power to someone else who doesn't really care, and we are not focusing on ourselves. So that's prolonging just the healing process. And as I just said, the being in the past, trying to resolve some kind of question that cannot be resolved because we don't necessarily understand where other people come from and why they do what they do. And so we have to be able to actually, in order to be more present and also focus on the future, leave the past behind. But when we have, resentment, we don't let it, we don't leave it behind. And then there are all the physical, issues that come with it, where you just know it's a form of stress, it's a form, of, imbalance. It's certainly not something that is, making your immune system stronger. It actually weakens yourself. So basically, when we don't forgive, we are vacillating between the judge and the victim. And both roles are not really bringing us any closer to ourselves and certainly don't empower us.
Wow. We have a caller that's called into the show. Why don't we go to the phones, Dr. Friedemann? Benny, who do we have?
Hey, we have JL calling in from Woodinville.
Hi, JL. How can we help you today?
Oh, I hope Dr. Friedemann can. Dr. Friedemann, I want to know how this isn't just to forgive somebody else. How do you forgive yourself when you look at something that you did and you go back and you keep beating yourself up because you don't forgive yourself for it? You feel great regret, sadness, and the kind of thing I'm talking about is I broke up with somebody a while ago, and at the time it seemed like the thing to do, but now I just have this where I really can't forgive myself for it, and the regret, sadness.
Now, can you not forgive yourself because you have caused the other person pain or because you feel like you made a mistake?
Both.
Good. And have
so.
you asked this other person for forgiveness?
Yes.
And did the person forgive you?
Yes.
So you could say, well, if this person is forgiving me for, whatever pain I caused this person, you could say, well, at least that I made amends and I let it go. So what really is more hard for you right now is to reconcile with the idea that you made a mistake. And I think, the steps of forgiveness that are really important is that we have to recognize that the pain that we are causing ourselves by beating ourselves up, by not forgiving ourselves, is actually unjust and unfair to us. It's a form of punishment. And often this form of punishment comes from our upbringing, where we got punished for not doing something right, where harsh consequences were something we were, basically met as soon as we made a mistake. And sometimes we are so harsh to ourselves in order to protect ourselves from others that could potentially be that harsh. It's almost like a pattern that we are continuously doing. Oh, I made a mistake, and now I have to endure the consequences. So can you actually see that maybe a part of you is scared that you're going to make more mistakes, or that this is going to be really something you get further in trouble with, and that part of not letting go is fear?
Oh, yes. I think you just nailed it. Yeah, that feels right in what you just said.
And then you want to treat yourself like how you would have wanted to be treated when you were actually punished for something you did, and you did it in the past, maybe also like you did it this time, actually believing that, hey, that's what I need to do, that's the best thing for me. So you had good intentions, and then still you got in trouble, and still you got blamed for something. And what would you have wanted at that time? At that time, you would have wanted someone to have compassion, understanding. You would have wanted someone who actually says, okay, tell me what you were thinking. I'm listening. I'm really trying to understand. And then you would have had maybe a kind, reassuring person in the ideal world that says, I know that you did the best you could, and all you can do right now is simply learn from it and know that you are understanding yourself better and that you can grow from this situation. That would be the ideal scenario, wouldn't it?
It would, and a lot of times I do that, and then all of a sudden I will see this person, and just like Dr. Pat said, you see him, or somebody tells you something about him, and I'm just smack back in the middle of it.
But are you feeling actually that somehow, you have lost something that was really valuable to you and you blame yourself for that?
I think that's true, yes.
And do you feel that you can never have something like this and now the chances are over and basically you're doomed?
I was that, and there's some truth to that. That's a feeling I have, like, I don't know, like there's not going to be somebody else like this person out there ever again.
Exactly. And so it's really about then that what you need to focus on. Forgiveness in itself will not really do what you need to do, because what you really need to do is to work on knowing that you deserve to have a person like this, that you deserve to be loved, that you deserve to have a harmonious relationship, and actually a better relationship than you had. Otherwise, you would have not broken up. Otherwise, you would have not ended it. Allow yourself to know that you deserve better what you had, and that you simply discerned and said, this is not working for me, wasn't actually a mistake. It was actually you telling yourself and the universe, you know what, this, but something better. Something that actually really brings me fulfillment and really opens my heart in a way that, it wasn't open yet. Can you allow yourself actually to feel that this is possible and that you deserve it, rather than feeling like you have to actually, doubt yourself, beat yourself up, and make yourself smaller?
That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to work on that.
Because what you're feeling right now is that the other person has the power. In that moment, you feel like, well, this person was the key to love, the key to, a happy ever after, and now the person is gone, and I don't have the power to create this anymore. This person is the one who is the source. Well, is that really true? Or is it just a limiting belief that you just now bought into?
It's limiting
Let's
belief
hold
for
that
sure.
thought till we come back from break, because we're on to something right here. Do you mind holding on until we come back from break, and we'll be able to finish this up. This is really good. Let's take a short break, everyone. Boy, I'm trying to write down all the questions that you're asking, Dr. Friedemann, for myself. Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. Please don't hang up. We will get you back on air when we come back from break. We'll be right back with the show.
Tune in to Psychic Cup of Coffee with Kelly Sutliff every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Kelly is a 14-year veteran of psychic ability, and she offers inspiration and comfort to those dealing with grief when they have lost a loved one, and also shares with people that the psychic world is very real. Call 1-800-930-2819 during the show with your questions, and visit PsychicMediumKelly.com. That's PsychicMediumKelly.com.
Tune in to Sheer Alchemy with Leslie Fontaine on TransformationTalkRadio.com and get ready to stir up your passions, identify your blocks, and shift into an entirely new existence. Leslie Fontaine is a transformation catalyst and clairvoyant who uses her intuitive and energetic gifts to catapult listeners into living the life they were born to live. Whether it's shifting from scarcity to abundance, from emotional pain into joy, or from illness into health, Leslie will help you step into the true essence and power of all that you are with the help of the Ascended Masters and Archangels. You will not be the same. Visit TransformationTalkRadio.com for show dates and times, and LeslieFontaine.com to say yes to explosive abundance.
Want to improve your spiritual connection? Connect with a loved one in the spirit world. Develop your spiritual gifts? Call respected, recognized, gifted intuitive, medium, and spiritual teacher Jennifer Farmer to schedule your transformative in-depth reading. These powerful sessions offer healing insights from the spirit world and personal guidance for all areas of your life. Call Jennifer at 727-324-9668. That's 727-324-9668 and visit jenniferfarmer.com.
Psychic World, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, with John G. Sutton, featuring his special guest, Countess Strella. One of Britain's most respected psychic mediums, John is an internationally published author, poet, and professional clairvoyant. His best-selling books include Psychic Pets, featured with John on the Walt Disney Channel, Animal Planet. Currently, John is the feature editor of the monthly Psychic World, which is the UK's Journal of Spiritualism. He has over 30 years of experience working in the field of paranormal studies. Countess Storella has an incredible ability to visualize your future in a positive, passionate way. This show offers all listeners the chance to call in and speak directly to John or the amazing Countess Storella. You can ask your personal questions about love, career, money, relationships, or whatever is troubling you in this often difficult life. What dreams may come? Join John G. Sutton and Countess Storella to discover your answer. See www.psychicworld.net.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. For more information about us, go to thedrpatshow.com or go to transformationtalkradio.com. Facebook, The Dr. Pat Show, Twitter, The Dr. Pat Show. For more information about Dr. Friedemann, you can definitely go to the fearandanxietysolution.com. You can call him for a free consultation at 866-903-6463, or you could call into the show. Like JL has done. JL, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. Let's see if we can get you some more help here.
Thank you.
Well, so did you have a chance to think a little bit about what we just talked about, and what is your feedback?
Honestly, I can see that there's a part of me I need to work on to feel like I deserve better, and that I can actually attract better. I think that's some of what this is, too, is that I don't feel like I know how to attract a good relationship. So I really need to maybe work on some of that and then allowing it.
And in that moment when you're actually telling yourself, my goal is actually to heal whatever inside of me feels not deserving or doesn't feel lovable enough, that's actually what I need to focus on. Then you realize for the healing, beating myself up, holding on to resentment, not feeling, somehow I did the right thing, is definitely not helping you. It's definitely blocking the healing. So what you really need right now is to have this new focus that says, yeah, I actually want to dig deeper and want to find out what is it inside of me that still is doubting, what is still feeling not really deserving and worthy, and I want to attend to that part of me, and I want to reprogram my beliefs in knowing that I can actually change my energy, my consciousness, to bring into my life the love that I truly desire and that I really want. And in that moment, there is forgiveness not even necessary anymore because you have shifted the focus. You realize the forgiveness was simply necessary as long as you were holding on to the idea that you did something wrong, but you actually didn't do something wrong. A part of you may have actually known, well, there is more, and you can ask for more. And I'm sure you didn't just break up like one day, I don't really feel happy, so I'm just going to end the relationship. I'm sure you tried to change it, you tried to improve it, and then after a while, it was just not working any longer for you. Wasn't that the case?
Oh, definitely. It went 6 months beyond where, the last 6 months of it, where I just was in turmoil trying to figure out how to make it better, what I could do to change myself to make it work, or, all the things that you do when something isn't working. And I realized that, there's lots of parts of it that weren't working. And so that's why I guess it's so surprising sometimes that I'm still I'm still kind of in this mode of what we were just talking about. Although talking to you, I can see that it's not mostly the relationship. It's more me. It's me and how I'm feeling about myself.
Exactly. And also really, turn the perspective a little bit around and realize that what you did was actually saying yes to yourself when you broke up. What you did was saying no to that what wasn't enough, that what wasn't working, that what actually probably hurt you, and you said yes to yourself by ending it, and there is nothing to feel guilty about when you say yes to yourself. And that feeling that you may have right now that brings you back to this old relationship is simply the yearning for love, for companionship, for connection. But then you have to remind yourself, no, this is not the source of it. There are other sources, and I'm ready to actually love myself more so that I can actually attract more love into my life.
Wow. Dr. Friedemann, when you say love yourself, I guess, just give me an idea. What would that just be taking better care of yourself? And I hear people say, I want to love myself more, but how do we do that?
Well, I think just like we learn to love others, this is a multifaceted way of expressing love. We can express love by taking better care. We can express love by actually speaking more kindly. We can express love by actually giving ourselves compliments, by looking in the mirror and actually seeing the beauty of who we are. But fundamentally, the love that is self-love is really all about really being open to accept and embrace yourself for who you are. Just like when you really love someone, you notice, well, they're this and those shortcomings, but that's not what you focus on. What you focus on is the overall adoration that you feel, and you just enjoy the presence of that person in your life. And when you can enjoy the presence of yourself in your life, and when you really can embrace yourself with that openness, then it just is a natural flow. This is not a one thing that you need to do to love yourself. It's more a shift in how you relate to yourself. It's a softening. It's an opening up. It's a fundamental accepting. That's something that, for many people just requires a little bit work because it's not natural, but it's also something that, happens much faster than we actually, are aware of often or what we believe is possible, because all of us really are longing for love. We just forget that we actually do have a lot of love inside of us that we can give ourselves.
Wow.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Friedemann, let me ask you while JL is still on here. I mean, when we think about love ourselves, we hear it quite a bit. There's the love ourselves at a physical level, that aspect of it. Then there's the love ourselves at a mental level. And then there's the love ourselves at a spiritual level. Don't we have to really look at what this means for each of us in those categories? So often we'll take a moment and we'll go out and we'll love ourselves and whatever that means in the physical world. But mentally we are beating ourselves up brutally on a day-to-day basis by our thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I think this can be very helpful to have these kind of, map inside of you where you really check, okay, I love myself, but I'm eating everyday McDonald's. Is that really loving myself? Or, yeah, I love myself, but I'm still worried about what my colleagues in the office are thinking, and I'm worried more about them than what I'm actually thinking about myself. So, yeah, it's definitely good to notice if all of those aspects are really in alignment with the idea of loving yourself. But see, I think at the end, love cannot be explained. You just can experience it. So we cannot intellectualize it too much. We just have to also see, okay, there is one path that leads to love, and that may be the spiritual, the mental, or the physical path. But then in the end, when love really occurs, it's something that you just feel like is an undercurrent, and it's also not always fireworks and, oh, my God, this is like, ecstatic, how I feel about myself. Sometimes it's just really there, just like you feel when you have love for someone else or a beloved animal that you have. It's just there. You just know it's there. You don't have to focus all the time on it, but you have a consistency and commitment to attend to that love. And that's, what I think in the ideal scenario is then the foundation of your relationship with yourself.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, JL. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in.
You know, Dr. Friedemann, I would like to skip our break, and because we also want to talk about, you know, the misconceptions of forgiveness, right? And
yes.
I would love for you to be able to go through and share those with folks, because I know that you did talk about them a bit here, you know, with JL on the call. But I would also like you to get very specific so people understand what the misconceptions of forgiveness are.
Well, you know, there are many of them, but I picked 6 because I think they are the most common ones, and just let's go through them. The first one is that forgiveness, in this case, forgiveness of others mainly, is actually condoning their hurtful behavior, so that we are actually saying, well, as soon as I forgive, I actually tell them, okay, it's okay that you did this to me. And that's, of course, not what it is. I mean, forgiveness is really an act of self-care. It's actually, as we talked about, this really allowing yourself to be free from the negative impact of other people. And it has nothing to do primarily with them. You know, this is where forgiveness needs to be turned around in our mind a little bit and realize, in the end, it's something that I do for myself. It actually doesn't really involve the other person so much, other than, you know, I disconnect, I release, I'm no longer holding on to any emotional charge around it. But that doesn't also mean, and that's the second misconception, that we're going to forget what happened. You know, often people are worried about that. They're saying, oh, now I forgive, and then I forget, and then I let this happen again because, you know, I totally went into amnesia, and then it can just, you know, people waltz over me once again. That's not what it is, because forgiveness is also learning from the past. But, you know, when you're in agony and pain and loathing and resentment, that's not a really fruitful place to learn from. That's more a place where, you know, you're basically entrenched in your emotions and you cannot really think straight. So if you forgive, you also want to include your openness to say, okay, what can I actually learn from this person? What can I learn from the situation? What can I learn about myself? And when you learn from it, you're actually not that small, you know, victim of the past. You actually can feel that you outgrow the situation, and therefore you're actually much safer because you know, oh, I actually have learned my lesson, and now I can let go. And that brings up the third misconception, which is, you know, you're opening yourself up again. You know, many people that have an issue with resentment and the past and they cannot really forgive, they keep themselves very guarded. You know, they close their heart. They say, you know what, I will never trust anyone again. I will never let anybody get in. And, you know, naturally we are actually hurting ourselves more than people have hurt us because the time often we keep ourselves closed down is much longer than the actual event that hurt us in the first place. But when you are forgiving, you are letting go of that obstacle in front of your heart. And you realize, as we talked about, you grow from it so you can have clear boundaries. You can be very clear about what your role is in any kind of relationship that is similar to that. But you can also know that the true power is actually in your heart. And if you are closing yourself from your heart by blocking it, by keeping it just shut, you're actually refusing and denying yourself to have that power. That is actually a gift within yourself. So you're not opening yourself up to more hurt, but you're opening yourself up more to yourself.
You know, one of the things that also weighs heavy on us is this idea that, you know, forgiveness has a certain meaning that, you know, I've done a number of shows where we featured people that, you know, were part of some atrocity in life. I mean, absolutely horrific things, and have come on and talked about the power of forgiveness. You know, I'll never forget, I interviewed Yoko Ono, and I had the opportunity to talk with her about forgiveness. Now, for many people, they're like, who'd you interview? Well, Yoko Ono. was married to John Lennon, and of course he was shot down and killed, and took out, talked about what forgiveness really is and what it isn't. I wanted to ask you this. I mean, many people think, I'm not going to touch forgiveness. I don't agree with what happened. I don't think that, I think that was an atrocity. I'm not going to go there. Don't even talk to me about the word forgiveness. And I'm sure you've heard that from people, too.
Right. Well, I think what, as I said at the beginning, what Yoko Ono had to go through, too, is the stage of grieving her husband. Really, this is something that was probably more in the forefront of her mind to really heal that grief than, the forgiveness. But in order for that grief to completely heal, she also had to let go of that, horrific crime, that injustice that was done to her husband, and find a way to really move beyond that. And, I found a quote by, Martin Luther King about, that we cannot really drive out darkness with darkness, and only light can do that. And I think there is something about that is so true, because when we forgive, we actually don't just forgive from a place of righteousness and say, well, by the power of whatever, I'm going to forgive, but you did wrong. But actually what you do when you forgive, you actually tap into a sense of compassion for whatever that person went through, for whatever, confusion, pain, or whatever they had themselves they were dealing with. So you're not holding on to hate, because hate, as, Martin Luther King said, cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And when you do feel that forgiveness is actually an action of love and light, primarily for yourself, but also then sharing this light and compassion with the person that you are willing to let go and forgive and send on their own path and their own destiny, then you actually have transcended this forgiveness into an enormous act of bringing wholeness back into yourself. And that's certainly a gift that, is, incredibly powerful to give to yourself.
Wow. Dr. Friedemann, this is really for many people that have either read the Fear and Anxiety Solution or have worked with you globally, worked with you across the world. One of the things that comes up time and time again is the word freedom. And, it is here again in the topic for today's show. Forgiveness, opening a door or becoming a pathway, but forgiveness and freedom in the same sentence, literally. And somebody asked me once, why, and I'm going to ask you, why do I want to be free? Freedom is so underrated. And I thought, I'm saving that for Dr. Friedman.
You mean freedom is overrated or underrated?
Yeah, it's overrated, underrated, overrated and underrated, actually. Yeah, but I thought to myself, that's really interesting. And, what he was saying to me is freedom is an illusion. And, and I thought, wait a minute, we need to talk about that, because we understand completely when we carry the burden of resentment around with us, when we carry the burden of hatred around with us. However form, whatever that is you want to describe, there is a heaviness and a burden. So, I wanted to talk to you about this because we've now changed. We're not just talking about freedom like walking out your door. Aren't we also now talking about the energy of our lives, how we live through it, the ease, the grace? Aren't we really redefining freedom to match energetically and consciously where we are now?
Well, the ultimate freedom, I believe, has nothing to do with our circumstances. I mean, the ultimate freedom is for us to be able to choose how we feel, how we think, how we perceive them, and even if we are enclosed in a prison cell, we still can enjoy the freedom of making the best out of that where we are. It's about the freedom and feeling victimized, feeling disempowered, feeling without choice. These are the juxtapositions. And so you can have all the freedom, all the money, can go wherever you want, can say whatever you want, and you can still feel that you have no choice because there are all these obligations, all these expectations, and there is all this resentment inside of you that still keeps you trapped because you don't feel you choose how you feel. You feel somehow your mind chooses it for you. And your mind gravitates to those people that you haven't forgiven and gravitates to that what's still somehow not apologized for. That is the freedom that you're missing. That's when you are captured by the past and somehow is still feeling that your power is floating out of you because of something that other people have done to you. And the freedom would simply be for you to feel that you can look at the situation and choose to actually be done with it, resolved, having it left behind, outgrown it. The situation doesn't get undone, but you feel that you actually have your power back and you're no longer the victim. And that is the freedom that I think forgiveness can do for you.
What a great show. I mean, there's so much we could talk about, right now. And, many people listening to the show have gone through some very difficult times these past years. Difficult times in their own lives, difficult times in, what's happened in the economy for them, how they were affected by it. Folks have lost their homes and so forth. What is the work that you do, Dr. Friedemann, with folks to help them move beyond all of that? How does the Breakthrough Program help them with this?
I think my mission is really, and this is also what this empowerment series is all about, my mission is to help people to get out of survival mode. And what that means is really that we are basically switching from these patterns that make us just only focus on how can we, avoid the next catastrophe, how can we keep the head above water, all of those things that, we internally really feel day in and day out, and that make us then also, feel even more powerless when things happen to us that we were not in control about. And so switching from that survival mode into a mode where you actually do feel empowered, where you know that you can turn your life around from the inside out, where you know that we all have infinite potential inside of us. This is not a myth. This is not just for a few. This is for all of us. And the countless stories where people were somehow sitting in the deepest, darkest hole, and that's the moment when they were awakening to themselves and they found that exactly what helped them to get out and transcend that, what actually kept them stuck in the first place. We do have that inner genius within, but we have to give ourselves permission to look for it. And as long as our mind is only focusing on survival, we're not looking for that, what is actually inside of us. And that's, in a nutshell, what I help people to shift from that perspective of simply protecting yourself to the perspective of living a life self-actualized and fulfilling.
Wow, what a great show. Thank you so much for today's show. Please let folks know how they can find out more about you, about working with you, and how the best way is to contact you. Thank you again for a fabulous show. And, of course, to get a copy of your book.
Well, the best way is just to go to thefearandanxietysolution.com in one word. And there you can find, ways to contact me via email. You can actually do a lot of things on that website just to get started. You can fill out a self-test on anxiety. You can design your goals for the future. You can listen to free meditations and guided self-hypnosis sessions. There is a lot for you to do already. And if you really want to dig deeper and consider working with me, just set up a free phone consultation Ideally, by emailing me is the simplest way, and we'll see where we can go from there.
I love it. Thank you so much for today's show, Dr. Friedemann. Again, powerful, powerful, beyond the beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Wow. I want to thank all of you for tuning us in, turning us on. Boy, there was a lot in this show today. If you have missed any part of it, it will replay tonight, and you're going to want to catch some of the amazing things, tips, insights, and beyond. Thanks to Dr. Friedemann Schaub. Hey, everybody, have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Listen to the Yo Andrew News Talk Show every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. More info where to listen? www.yoandrewnts.com/listen. Don't get your message lost in the mail. Email us with this address, yoandrew@yoandrewnts.com. How about tweet Yo Andrew at AndrewTweetGeo? Taking a picture is easy. Instagram us today at YoAndrewNTS.
Transformation Talk Radio's amazing hosts span from the Pacific to the Atlantic coast. With a world full of loyal fans, what's stopping you from joining our clan? Bring your powerful message to listening ears. We've been helping people do this for many years. Want to make a difference? We can help you out. Just give us at Transformation Talk Radio a shout. It's easy to get started with an email so small to host@transformationtalkradio.com, and then we'll give you a call.
Always inspiring and uplifting, Brenda Thine spreads love and light wherever she goes. Enlightening, empowering, and encouraging readings, Brenda connects with your guides, angels, fairies, and loved ones who have crossed over to provide you with the highest guidance possible to enable you to live your highest truth and maximize your potential. Always light-filled, a session with Brenda will have you feeling wonderful, centered, and ready to take on anything. Schedule your session now at BrendaThine.com. That's BrendaThyne.com.
Tune in to Heart Center Talk Radio with David Christopher Lewis, a gifted clairaudient, Aquarian spiritual author, and talented musical composer on TransformationTalkRadio.com every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with delivering more than 4,000 messages from angels, masters, and divine beings. David will share the Ascended Masters' teachings, insights, and surprising revelations to light bearers. Meet transformative guests who embody change and inspire hope and get a refreshing and deeply meaningful perspective on life. Wondering how to play the game of life and actually win? Stop wondering and start winning the game of life with the unique, incomparable Lynn Brown. Lynn takes everyday aspects of life and infuses them with the magic of soul and passion to help others. She wants to help you next. Lynn offers a myriad of spiritual healing, from chakra clearing, aura healing, to even corporate and business readings. Bring your game face and visit letter R, letter U, intuit.com or call 844-letter-B-INTUIT.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthisfunny.com.